What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Roxora, and we're doing another video today. And I was trying to think of like if anything interesting happened over the weekend. And oh, what's this? What's that? Who is that? Of course, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that's cringe, but yeah, as you can see, I won a set champ over the weekend, and it was the perfect time to timing as I needed to talk about Lorcana. It's been a little while since I've talked about Lorcana, and so yeah, we're gonna kind of talk about the deck that I chose to bring, and kind of lead that into like meta discussion, and then also kind of like there's some other aspects of like where the game is going. Like, we have a new set incoming, and also like it was really interesting getting to talk to some of the players there. So yeah, we're going to talk about all these things, and so I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, another me talking video, but again, I'll try my best to keep it succinct and short and pointed. But yeah, so I went to a sorry, first, like, comment, subscribe. Just insert that in there. Moving on. Yeah, I went to this store, House Rules Gaming, and just swept the entire event. I felt kind of bad, but it was really fun to hang out. Everyone's like really friendly, and great store. It's in Kissimmee, I believe. Yes. So if you are in that area, again, it was like 45 minutes from me, which is a little rough, but it was worth it, clearly. And yeah, it was a great time. So yeah, we'll kind of, leave that there. And yeah. And so it's like kind of wondering, actually wasn't planning on attending this event. Like, it wasn't like something I had on my calendar. But the weekend opened up. My fiance let me abandon her for the day. Again, it was way longer of an event than I thought it was going to be. But they always are. I don't know why I think set champs are like going to be these like short events, and then I top them, and then they take like all day. But anyways, I was not really sure what to bring because this meta is kind of weird at the moment. It's not bad per se. It's just weird. Again, the big thing right now is that dogs is having an over presence on the meta. You kind of have to consider dogs when you're playing your deck, or when you're building, and when you're choosing which deck to bring, which is weird because as you can see, like, one of the most represented decks is Blurple, and having a high win rate, a lot of representation, but it actually doesn't have the best matchup into dogs, which is kind of interesting. I guess a little bit better if you're able to hit your Demonas. But yeah, so kind of weird that, like, Blurple exists, but dogs exists, but also like both of these decks have been around for forever. And so from a set champs perspective, it's weird where, a lot of these casual players don't really like to play either of these decks. So then it's kind of like, what else are you taking? Emerald Sapphire is kind of making a resurgence. This new Amber Steel deck that is kind of existing in the format. And then there's kind of just like everything else. I actually do want to talk about Amber Amethyst. I have a deck queued up here to talk about, because I think that deck is a little bit still underplayed, weirdly enough. Like, it did really well in Zan's hands, with the combo version, and then people kind of discovered, like, hey, we actually can just like play mid-range and it's like totally fine. So yeah, and then there's also this Amber Ruby deck that is kind of not, I don't want to say making waves, but it's existing, which is really nice because, as you can see, like, Ruby is completely non-existent from the game, except for Ruby Amethyst and Amber Ruby, and again at like was that 5% of the metagame, which is really bad. So yeah, I hadn't really been playing testing a ton of competitive decks. I have actually spent a lot of my Lorcana time playing Ruby Sapphire and trying to make that work and failing. But it's the deck that I enjoy, and so it's like, fine. So I hadn't done a whole lot of like brewing or any kind of like lab work on exactly what I would bring to a set champs or any kind of competitive tournament. So yeah, I'm not going to say that I I definitely, I'm not gonna say that I didn't net deck, but I did also make edits to this list. As you'll see here, some small tweaks is kind of, call yourself people call themselves like deck tweakers, deck builders, whatever. Um, yeah. Anyway, this is the deck that I brought. Here, I'll show the picture here for the people who just want to see the deck list. Aim of the Steel is a deck that I was familiar with, even before rotation and everything, so it was pretty easy to pick up again. Very similar play style, really is not, I'm gonna say it's not a difficult deck to play. It definitely takes some skill and everything, but it was definitely intuitive for me and is a type of play style that I'm very familiar with. So I was able to pick this deck up very fast. I'm not going to say that this is the perfect build, by the way. Like there's some things I can talk about in this list that I'm definitely questioning, but yeah, Amethyst Steel is as stayed true as the deck that is decent against pretty much everything, but doesn't really have any kind of outstanding matchups into anything. Right? It's kind of like if you just kind of wanted a good deck all around, that's great. Right? But if you wanted decks that are certain against a particular deck, then you might want to look elsewhere. So that's why I think that this is particularly a good deck for set champs in particular, as again, it's just who knows what some more casual players are going to bring. Who knows what certain people trying to spike the tournament are going to like come out of the woodworks with. So coming in with a deck that is just kind of good numbers against everything, and is just kind of able to execute its game plan, no matter what, I thought was better than trying to pinpoint exactly what deck people would play. The only issue is that the Blurple matchup, I haven't played it too much, but I know that it's not the best. It's certainly maybe gotten better with the addition of Hades and Demoda, but they also have Blurple, I should say, has the exact same capabilities, so it can be a very, I guess the word would be polarizing matchup. So yeah, that was my concern with Biller. Like I had played in previous set champs, and literally I think in the set champs, the last set champs on that top, I was played a similar deck, and the only deck that I lost to twice was Blurple. So yeah, it was definitely something that I had on my mind. Thankfully, at this particular event, again, we can kind of talk about why in a moment, there was zero Blurple. I think I looked around the room, and I don't think I saw a single Blurple deck. There were some blue decks. There were, again, so someone playing blue-green, which I'll talk about, and the Amber Sapphire decks. I think I saw like a couple of those here and there, but I don't think I saw a single Blurple deck. And so that seemed to bode well, especially given I think in the top cut of this tournament as well. I don't have the deck list and everything. They're not available. I was trying to see. I know they like took deck lists, and I know they even recorded the like some of the games of the top cut. Hopefully those are made available. If they are, I'll definitely like make a follow-up to this, where maybe I was hoping to like react to my video, but I haven't seen it yet. I'm still waiting out for that, so we'll see. But anyways, yeah, Amethyst Steel definitely seemed to be the right deck for this tournament. So let's see. So round one I played against a Emerald Amethyst kind of burn deck. They seemed to be a more casual player. Quickly 2-0'd them. Played against a Amethyst Steel player that had a very different build. They're running like Gathering Knowledge and Wisdom, and definitely a more aggressive deck. Or at least that's what it seemed like, or a burn style. Again, 2 of them. And then it kind of became a more tough matchup into a different type of Emerald Amethyst, which was a more mid-range, like a more kind of traditional Emerald Amethyst deck with Snowfort. And that card was almost problematic. I was on the play, and game one worked out pretty well. Or sorry, game one, I think I lost. I won on the draw. I won on the draw quite a bit, which I definitely attribute to my success. I definitely did really well about playing on the draw, playing more like, I I don't want to say reactively, but tempo based, and focusing on that. Um, so yeah, so first game I think was able to win on the draw, and then game two they just kind of did the snow fort thing, and it was super problematic. And then it was funny in game three, I kept this Pluto Steel Champion in my hand and actually ended up playing it, but because I was on the play, and again, just like in kind of like in game one, they just kind of like out tempoed them, and they had the snow fort. The rest of their hand wasn't particularly impressive, and so the snow fort didn't really do much. So that put me at 3-0, and then based on how the standings looked, I realized that I could double draw into Top Cut. It was about a 32 person tournament. And, some people at the event were looking down on me for this. I know there's like a kind of stigma about it. I am not going to comment on like, do I think that this is something everybody should do? It's kind of just like a personal decision, really. Obviously I encourage people to, to kind of do whatever they think it is that will give them the best chance of winning events and kind of getting to whatever they wanted. So in my particular position, again, I don't really care about the playmat. I have a bajillion playmats, and so I just kind of wanted the card. I'll be honest. Actually, I didn't even want that card. They were actually doing a raffle for the oversized cards. Do I have? Oh, it's over in this box over here. But I have one from Magic the Gathering, from I think my previous setup, and I wanted the same thing for Lorcana. I didn't win the raffle. If I won the raffle, I might have just dropped from the event and left. Because again, this is how just kind of casual and kind of, I don't want to say unimportant, but just kind of low stakes these events are. So again, for me, I'm just coming, having fun. I got some packs for free. That was very nice as well, by the way. They gave out a lot of packs for free. Very nice to see that, kind of making it worth people coming out and coming all this way. So anyways, that's kind of how I got into the Top Cut, and then from there, there was again a amber amethyst list that looked very similar to this. I don't know if it's exactly like this. Again, I'll kind of talk about that, but very good games. Again, having to play around a board wipe effect in Raging Storm was really exciting, actually, for me. Getting to navigate that, I think I performed that pretty well. Had some lucky draws where I was top decking the Raging Storm, and I top deck like Genie into like another character, and that was very, very powerful. So yeah. And then yeah, so then from there I faced a Dogs player, and the Dogs player, I found out, so they were I think fairly new. They had only been playing for a couple months. And they just kind of weren't really able to kind of navigate the matchup exactly well. I had enough removal. So the big thing with the Dogs matchup is if you're able to just kind of keep them off of Tramp, whether it's through Strength or Angel, or in this case Isis and Elsa, which I'll talk about. You can pretty much stifle most of what they're trying to do. Yeah. And then from there, the finals is actually a mirror, which again should really be a sign that like Amethyst Steel was absolutely the right deck for this tournament. And again, they were also a new player. I think they said they were been playing for like a month, and yeah, very, very interesting. Both, so notably, I guess I'll talk about this now. So notably, I asked both of those players because I could kind of tell, again, when I'm playing in these cases, you always want to be sizing up your opponent, not to insult them, right? It's not oh, you're a new player, I don't have to respect you. It's you really have to kind of get into your opponent's head and think, okay, what are they likely to do here? What are they thinking about? And kind of what cards can I leverage that will push my advantage the most? So also that's where I'll kind of talk about Hades as well. I think not so much in the Top Cut, but definitely the Hades Looking for a Deal was quite an effective card in the Swiss portion, as Hades is a very skill testing card, where certain players are just gonna let me draw two more often than not because they're scared or they don't want to lose their character. They have an overweighted assessment of like, oh, I need to keep this character. That's fine. They can draw two cards without really thinking about the ramifications of that. Again, not criticizing any people for any particular play. Again, who knows? They could be thinking about things, but like Hades is absolutely a card that like I don't know how I don't want to say this like as in an offensive way, but like the better your opponent is, the worse Hades gets. The worse your opponent is, the better it gets, because they're more likely to make the decision that more heavily benefits you. Again, the good part about Hades is that either option that they choose is good for you most of the time, but usually there's a better option, and it's up to your opponent to kind of figure that out. So, anyways, both of my opponents, they're new players, and when I asked them like, hey, like, how did you get into the game or when, and whatever, they all said Epcot. They all said the Epcot event that I don't think I talked about on this channel, but it was a huge success. I heard I was away, I was in New Zealand while I was going on, so I wasn't able to go myself, but I really, really hope that they do that. It's a very big success and great for current and new prospective players. So and it was awesome to hear about the fruitions of that, right? Getting to see, hey, these are new players who got into the game because of this Epcot event, and I'm playing them in the top cut of a tournament. Really, really cool. So really happy to see that. And so just, again, not to say that they were, a bad player, but just I was really good at navigating the matchup and was able to kind of leverage that skill and a little bit of luck. There was definitely a lot of luck. So one of the things I said going into the Aim of the Steel matchup was kind of just whoever plays Demona first wins the game most of the time. And it was actually kind of funny. In the first game, I did do that, but actually it wasn't even that good of a Demona. It actually didn't really allow me to banish any of their characters. It was just a draw 3. But even then, that was like still pretty good. So it's like, take that as you will. I did win that game. Anyways. But the really big thing that I wanted to take was what happened in game 3, where I had my opening hand was contained a Lexington and an Isis, and that just won me the game. Because again, I was on the draw, and basically I presume that if they did not have the optimal curve, or if they weren't able to land a Strength of a Raging Fire, Lexington into Isis, right, to banish their genie or to banish their 3-cost character, is likely just gonna put me so far ahead tempo wise that it's gonna kind of bring me back from being on the draw, or it's just gonna kind of win me the game from there. And it absolutely did. So wanted to talk about the card choices now. And then we'll kind of just talk about the meta and some other things go on. So let's talk about the things that are like non-negotiable. So for me, I think obviously 4 Cheshire Cat and 4 Cobra is non-negotiable. Those are kind of the reasons to be playing Amethyst Steel. And yeah, you kind of just that's the whole reason to be playing these. I also think that Captain Hook, that's I think is self-explanatory. The Christopher Robin, also really good. So Christopher Robin is the kind of the card that I would look for in the Blur. Again, I never played the Blurple matchup, but that was one of the reasons why I was like, hey, this is really good in in Amethyst Steel. It's good against Blurple. Want to make sure I have a good amount of Christopher Robins, which again, most people are doing. Yzma, I think, is a fantastic card. Again, we have pretty much entirely cut Dumbo from this list. There's so many people playing. I think some of the lists that I saw were playing 1 or 2 Dumbos. I think now that everyone is running Horseman Strikes and so many of these other cards, and also Dumbo is just kind of too slow against Blurple. So there's just so many better options now. Yzma being one of them. That Dumbo, there are other decks for Dumbo. Again, Amber, Amethyst, and Blurple. Both are decent Dumbo decks. I think Amethyst Steel just can't afford to run Dumbo anymore. So yeah. Doc is the kind of the one that is fluctuating between 3 and 4 copies. I think 3 is correct. This is where at 10 uninkables, right? I like that number. Again, just being able to be really, really flexible. I love low inkable count decks, as we know from DKP's Ruby Sapphire deck, the infamous like 8 uninkables. When he went up to I think like 10 or 12, I was really sad. Um, yeah, I just think being able to be flexible and kind of being able to decide what your curve looks like, as opposed to, and again, anytime you play a Calhoun, you are forced to play that card onto pretty much every single time. So lowering the uninkable count lets you kind of be more flexible, which I really, really value. So, um, yeah. Calhoun, speaking of Calhoun, people are cutting on this card, and I think that's crazy. I've seen lists with 0, I've seen lists with 1, and I think that's wild. I am fluctuating between 2 and 3. The big issue is this Pocahontas. Like I want some number of Pocahontas because, again, that's another card that really helps against Blurple. So like Christopher Robin into Pocahontas is kind of the curve that I'm looking for against Blurple, just to be super, super aggressive. And yeah, so like Pocahontas and Calhoun obviously have like similar stats and costs and everything. But obviously like Calhoun is like better against dogs and certain things. So it's really tough to kind of figure out these numbers. Again, I don't think I want to cut from anywhere else, and I definitely don't want to add more uninkables, right? So I think that's just going to be the number. It's like either 1 and 2 or it's 0 and 3 is kind of where I'm at on that. Also, like, not really sure about I almost, before this event, made the switch to 4 Olaf, 2 Palace Guard. But then I was thinking about Cheshire Cat. So, like, Palace Guard is really there for Cheshire Cat. It's really there to have damage on it and move damage. It can be good. So, actually, it's funny. Palace Guard is really good into Olaf, right? If they are on the play, and, against, like, the Amethyst Steel, where they play Olaf first, you play Palace Guard, they can't quest. Right? Whereas if they play Olaf and you play Olaf, they kind of feel freed into questing with Olaf if they want to, because then you're going to trade instead of kind of eating the Olaf. That sounds wrong, but you know what I mean. Eating the Olaf. So yeah, this split I think is right. Again, 10 1-drops definitely seems to be the standard. I love Black Heron. Again, if I ever miss on like a Pocahontas or a Calhoun, like Black Heron feels like just as good, like 90% of the time. And again, another like decent body for Cheshire Cat to do stuff with. So yeah, and it's inkable. Like I when Black Heron came out, I was really excited because I think this is definitely like a move in the right direction for like vanilla characters. The fact that it's seeing some play is definitely a good sign. I like the 2 Lexingtons. I again almost went up to 3. Again, people are kind of shaving and on genies. I can see like Blurple is shaving on genies, and there's less characters in general that have evasive that you need to answer. And again, especially with Angel, you kind of are better at answering different things now. But yeah, I definitely like the 2. I could see going up to 3. Again, would have to maybe cut down on genies. And again, I think I like genies. I actually didn't play genie too much in this tournament. There were just not a lot of cases, again, where I was going super aggressive or super kind of attrition-y. The cool thing about genie is like you boost it, you can use Pocahontas with it, or you can bounce it with Olaf, and any of the cards that you put underneath of it get added to your hand. So, there's that's like the basic, and those are more advanced plays. The more basic play is just like, hey, anytime you have a spare ink, you just put that underneath Genie and it's good. The issue is that like Genie is often like, again, your 3-cost character is usually singing strength, so it's usually not questing right away. So like it can be a bit awkward. So yeah, I'm just not sure if 3 Genie is right or if it should be 2. 2 Genie and then add another Lexington. Again, with Lexington, it can be awkward as well, because if you have a decent amount of cards in your hand, it won't ready. So I think this is fine for now. Again, I don't think I'm looking to make changes here. I think I would make changes again at the top end, and again in my 2-drop slot. The 3 costs, again, no surprise given the strength of Raging Fire, are pretty locked. If I if I had to guess. Um, yeah. Um, Isis is fantastic, as I already mentioned in the when I was talking about the mirror match. Isis has been fantastic. One of the things I was like worried about with this style of deck is again not having enough interaction. Again, your only interaction spell really being strength, and so being really worried about, okay, am I just gonna get wrecked by somebody going off and me not being able to kind of interact. But this deck has actually so much interaction when you consider Isis, Elsa, Strength, Demona, and even like Hades to a certain extent. And sorry, not even counting Angel. We'll talk about Angel. Um, but so yeah, so I think Genie, like again, is kind of in a weird space right now where so many people are prepared to deal with it. Horseman strikes, headless horseman proper, Elsa's, all the like the Lexingtons everywhere, a lot of under the sea, right? So Isis is a good interactive character. Again, worst case scenario, it's a 4/4, but so many other times it has enabled Calhoun. It's enabled like Lexington to do really powerful things. It's even like been pretty good with Olaf. So like if you have like if you have a wide board, like you have something like a Doc or Hades, and you have an Olaf in play, your opponent is actually not going to exert their characters, because if they're in a grindy matchup, they understand like, hey, the moment I let them trade off their Olaf, they're gonna kind of gain all this value. Isis can exert the character, let you trade in and do all of your things. So yeah, just Isis, this one of just like when it hits super hard. Yeah, there were a couple of times in this tournament, as I said, like where it's just a 4-cost 4/4, but that's not terrible. Like it's really not that bad. And again, the times where it's good, it's really, really good. Again, in the mirror, right? This is way better than Elsa. So if they're not playing this, the soonest they can interact or they can exert your character is turn 5. Being able to Isis before they can Elsa, and kind of take out whatever they were going to use with the Elsa is really powerful. So, yeah, fantastic. I kind of already talked about Yzma. We can talk about Angel here. Uh, Kind of not really much to say, actually. It's just great. It's like one of the best new cards that they've released. Really powerful with Yzma, right? Angel, you can play Yzma first, play Angel after, use the good aim ability immediately, and then use Yzma to refuel. Um, and use it with Doc. Angel's really good at just if you have an extra uninkable in hand. So if you have like Angel plus 2 Docs, it's actually perfectly fine. You play Angel, discard one of the Docs, and then next turn you do you get to kind of Doc refuel, and you have extra ammunition for Angel. So yeah, Angel just kind of is the glue that kind of holds this deck together. Sorry, I'm getting a call here. Okay. Yeah, so Angel's just kind of the glue that holds this deck together. The resist part comes up every so often, but again, usually you want to have a way to refuel, so you're usually not emptying out your hand completely. But again, it can work well with Yzma, where you have Angel and Yzma out, you empty out your hand, challenge with Angel with the resist, and then Yzma exerts to refuel up right away. So yeah, Angel's really good. The issue is that it's, well, first of all, I only have 2 Angels. I actually didn't feel like spending another like $60 on Angel. But even if I did have a third Angel, I'm not even sure if I'd play it. One of the things about it is like it doesn't really go great in multiples for too long. Like obviously, like having the first one is really good, but then the second one, it's like, okay, are you really discarding 2 cards every turn just to do some damage? Right, and then also there can be cases where it's actually not good, where your opponent has a Genie and it's like one of the only cards in your hand. So it's like, all right, you're gonna play your Angel, you're gonna discard your last card, and then hope your Angel lives, and then discard the next card you draw immediately just to deal with one character. So Angel is obviously a very good card. It is warping. I don't want to say the metagame, but it's warping kind of like what characters can kind of thrive and exist. Right, again, like certain characters that have that 2 willpower are going to be struggling if they don't have a good matchup into things like Angel. So So yeah, so like that is definitely a thing. I do kind of question like, should you really be running 3 or 4, or is 2 just fine? And for me at the moment, I think I am fine. I don't think even after this list, even after again, I do love Angel. I do like the card. I think it's powerful. I'm not sure if I'm adding a third copy. I think I am happy, not drawing that card as consistently, but being able to kind of dig for it and hopefully find it in the matchups where I need it. Um, yeah, I think that's where I'm at. And again, it only quests for 1, right? It's not a very good card into Blurple, so taking all of these things into account. Elsa and Demona are kind of self-explanatory. Same thing with Strength. Um, did want to talk about Hades. So again, Hades is another card that can see shaving 1 copy. Definitely want at least 2. It is really good when it hits. Again, kind of like Isis. Really good with Olaf. Like I've done so much where I like play Hades, challenge with Olaf, bounce it right back. And then play, and you just either draw 4 cards or your opponent is put into quite a big pickle when you have Hades. So that I really like. There can be some awkward points where there was, I think, in the Aim of the Steel mirror again in the finals, I we cleared the board, like it was a trade, like board wide trade. Goes to my turn and I draw a Hades and there's no character on board, and it's like, wow, I guess I just like don't play this. So again, like what else would it be? It would be like another genie or it'd be another angel or something like that. So it wouldn't even really be that much better or worse. It would just kind of be like, again, if I really wanted to in that game, I could have just played the Hades on an empty board. I don't think I didn't do that, and that's definitely the right play. But it is what it is. So questioning whether I need 3 or whether I can shave down to 2. So yeah, just something to think about. And then lastly, this Pluto was a card that I added at the last moment. Again, considering about like dogs with the Chromacon. There wasn't really too much else like item wise that I wanted, but I actually really like the winner take all text of this card. The one thing is that I'm a little low on steel characters. Like I think the deck is like primarily purple. It's a little bit less than 50. It's like, yeah, a little bit less than 50-50. If you consider, again, Giant Cobra counts as a steel character. So, a little bit low on the steel characters, but yeah, combining both of that with the ability to banish items, I thought was worth including. And again, worst case, it's also just a 5/5 quest for 2. But I think the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning away from Pluto. Again, I didn't want to run Benja. Like that was something I'd say, but like maybe we can just like find a different 3 cost. Maybe we like again run another Olaf. Maybe the Pluto turns into another Angel or something like that. So again, as I was saying, I'm constantly thinking about the ways that I can improve this list. Definitely not the perfect version of the deck in my eyes. Sorry, I've been talking about this deck for a while. So anyway, that's just all the stuff that I'm thinking about. And again, I hope this like shows that like I just want to tournament with this deck and I'm still very critical of it. Like so that should kind of give you guys again some insight into kind of like my mindset, and also just kind of like how you have to be. You have to just constantly be reassessing your deck and everything. So maybe it's even like the 4th Christopher Robin. Who knows? Anyway, that's kind of where I wanted to just talk about with this deck. But yeah, let's talk about the the metagame in general. Again, if you look at this metagame, the metagame is actually not too bad. Like it's everything's hovering around 50%. A little bit of like again differences in representation. And again, that's kind of always going to be the case where everyone just kind of have this perception of win rate, where it's like, yeah, Blurple has the highest representation and highest win rate, but not by much, right? Not too much above Amethyst Steel. And like when you compare it to, Amethyst Ruby, or Amber Ruby, it's like, yeah, you're way more represented, but you're really not winning all that much more in terms of win rate. So yeah, in terms of like the health of the metagame, I know like a lot of people like freaking out and calling for dogs to be banned. If there was more time in this metagame and there wasn't also, again, a new set coming out, I'd be more receptive to that, but right now I think things are mostly fine. Like, yeah, like, and sorry, that also gets to kind of what I was saying is like, there was like one or two dogs players and there was zero blurple at this tournament. Like, the meta is kind of going to be shifting. Like, also from a casual perspective, people are going to play the decks that they want. No one's going to just be jamming meta decks the whole time through a set. So, yeah, again, I agree that like dogs is a very powerful deck. I'm not downplaying that, but I think right now we can kind of just chill and we can see where things go. Again, if next set dogs is still dominating, we might have to take action. But I think for now, um, we're I'm actually pretty happy. So yeah, this is again speaking of dogs, this is very similar to what I assume one of my opponents was playing, and not 100% sure on that. I don't think I saw the Scrump. That I don't really like that, but the Mickey Mouse definitely, right? That's again an important character that I had to answer. Tramp as well, right? So they played Tramp. What is this? Day Goat Pesca? What is that? What's the name of that card? Dapper Rascal. Damn, what did I say? But that Tramp, Floodborn Tramp, is again could have been a problematic card. I saw a lot of other people in the tournament struggling to deal with it. Isis Vanderchill, right? Yeah, Isis Vanderchill, and also just like Elsa, like both of those were handily able to deal with Tramp. So that was really nice. One of the things about, again, Amethyst Steel versus dogs is that Under the Sea is really problematic. They have like this Della's Lullaby and Rhino and things like that, but like they have to have multiple cards in order to really board wipe with all of our Calhouns, our Black Herons, and everything. Demona, right? Another reason why Pluto is kind of nice. Yeah. But again, still a very good deck, and again, it was can be a difficult deck to play as well. So very skill testing, very interesting. Yeah. So again, just wanted to show people some different options. This I think was very similar again to what my opponent played against me in the quarterfinals. Because definitely they had the Demona, Scourge of the Clan. They definitely had the Svens and the Tigers. They had the libraries and the guidebook and everything in the Raging Storm. So yeah, I think this is very similar to what they had. And again, just kind of Grandmother Willow into a bunch of 4 costs. It's kind of, the whole deck. 4 Hades and 4 Demona. Again, so much draw with the guidebook as well. So yeah, but I was able to kind of out aggro them. One of the interesting things I did as kind of like, again, going back, was talking about DKP earlier in this video. The library with Raging Storm is super interesting, right? So you play the library, it's a location. Your opponent plays a bunch of characters to try to deal with the location. You Raging Storm to wipe all their characters, and then it's really hard to answer the library from that point. So that was actually something that I was really aware of. So I think I had like 3 characters going into the turn where they had 7 ink. They had a library on board, and I said, no, I gotta answer that library right away. And sure enough, they Raging Stormed me the next turn. And if I hadn't done that, it would have been a very tough game from that point onward. So, yeah. So sometimes, the library into Raging Storm can be a very threatening move. But yeah, I really like this list. I again, I don't know if this is the exact right configuration that I play, but I definitely think that this deck is like a little underplayed right now. Pretty decent into most things. Like Royal Guard is also kind of interesting, right? Bagheera could be good against like dogs and stuff. So like Tigger as well, right? Good against dogs. So yeah, seems like this deck has some play to it. And yeah. Wanted to show off, again, not sure if this is the actual list that I played against, but looks very similar. 4 Snow Forts, so really interesting. Flynn Rider also as well, like an interesting like 1 cost character. Yeah, the Webby as well, right? Go Tamagos, like, so they have some interesting things going on here. Again, I don't know if this is the exact build that I would play. The Lewis as well can be a problematic card. for certain decks. Like again, against Genie, it's pretty good. I was able to deal with it, but yeah. Again, so there is definitely a variety of decks that you can play, and so kind of like going back to like my advice for people is just kind of like play what you want, like play what you think is good. Like I really didn't do too much prep before this event, and did perfectly fine. I think the big thing is that the skill level and just kind of knowing other decks and kind of being prepared for them. No pun intended. We were talking about Raging Storm, right? I think like that's probably why this player got a bunch of points. Just like people, again, newer players have trouble playing against board wipes, or people who aren't aware that a deck like this is playing a Raging Storm, right? They Amber Amethyst players get a certain amount of points, kind of a boost because of that. So, yeah, so that's kind of my advice. Just kind of play what you want. Again, as you can see, like from my deck, and just kind of like if you look at any of the set champs posts that people always make, any deck can win a set champs. Like there really is a lot that you can do in terms of diversity. So yeah, so that's kind of it. I think I just wanted to talk about that. I was really happy with the deck's performance and my performance. I'm usually like very nervous once I kind of get to the top cut, but I could kind of feel it this time. Like it was really weird. When I was playing the dogs player, even though they were a newer player, I was feeling like, okay, this is dogs. Like this is like a real test. This is like a real like point in the tournament where I could get knocked out. But yeah, and then kind of once I made it to the mirror match, I kind of had a lot of confidence where I was like, okay, I know how to do this, and I kind of know what I'm doing there. So yeah, I was it was a good feeling. It was a good feeling. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, that's kind of my set champs talk, as well as kind of like meta discussion. I'm really excited for the new set. I will be doing a set review for that, hopefully once all the cards are released. And so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this list, and kind of like if you guys are doing well in set champs, I'd love to hear your guys' experience. Also the Epcot event, let me know if you guys are excited for more of those. I know I am. And yeah, thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed, remember to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out and lets me know like what kind of content I should be doing more of. If you guys like these kinds of videos and you want to see more, make sure to let me know. So that is going to do it for me. See you guys in the next video.